Yeah, we had a great win this week. Great crowd, great atmosphere. Good to get another SEC win. Keep this thing moving. We were able to complete our homestand 3-0. Now, obviously, time to take the show on the road and put ourselves in a position to kind of go be road warriors for a month. And so, starts with a really tough challenge at Arkansas.
All right, we'll begin with Tom Murphy of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Mike, I'm wondering about your thoughts on turnover margin and its ability to influence the outcome of games, and specifically in this game against an Arkansas team that has a poor turnover margin.
Yeah, I think every week that's what matters. I think the turnover margin is the number one thing on our plan to win. I think winning the turnover margin is the number one indicator of success in a football game. And so I think it has a big role every week, and I think it matters even more when you're on the road.
Coach, I know every game stands on its own merits, but in this series, A&M's won 12 of 13. You've been a part of, I think, 5 of those. And can something like that influence the culture of a program when you're going against a team that you've beaten so often?
I don't think so. What I told our guys is I don't remember ever feeling like any of the games were in control. I feel like every game I've ever played against Arkansas has come down to the final play. There's been moments of the fourth quarter of every single game I've played against them where I felt like we weren't going to get the job done. And so I think this has just been a really, really good back and forth affair that for whatever reason the ball has always seemed to bounce our way, whether it's a field goal off the upright or a sack fumble. But it certainly doesn't feel like there's very much separation between the two teams at all.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Next will be Andrew Hutchison of the Best of Arkansas Sports.
Hey, Coach, I'm curious when you're preparing for Arkansas's defense, when you're preparing for them, do you look at just the Tennessee game where, they've got the new defensive staff, or do you take a peek back at the earlier games? And if so, kind of how was Arkansas's defense different against Tennessee?
I think you're trying to evaluate as much of a sample size as you possibly can. Obviously, a new coordinator makes a huge difference in terms of what a team's going to do schematically, how they're going to call plays, what they're going to look like. There's also a lot of film in terms of personnel and talent that you're trying to evaluate from the earlier parts of the season. And so you're just trying to watch as big a sample size as you possibly can and try to get the best gauge on what exactly the defense is going to look like against us on Saturday.
I wanted to ask you about your offensive coordinator, Colin Klein. Just kind of what makes him a successful coordinator? Kind of what do you like about him? What has he brought to your program?
Yeah, I think obviously it starts with a tremendous amount of passion for football. He's got an unbelievable work ethic and a great way to relate to the kids. I think what really drew me to him over others is he's extremely intelligent. I think we see the game very similarly in terms of trying to attack defenses and how we want to attack defenses. And I think he's done a really, really good job of putting his handprint on this offense here in year 2. And I'm playing some really good football.
Thanks, Coach.
Next will be Alex Miller of the Bryan College Station Eagle.
Hey, Mike, we talked with Ruben on Tuesday. He had mentioned how he's made an effort to improve his blocking, both in the run and the pass game, and understand offensive line schemes to try and become a more complete player. I'm just curious what you've seen from him in that regard and how much maybe that was an emphasis of him and his growth this offseason.
Yeah, I think Ruben's trying to become a complete back. And I think one of the things that maybe gets lost in the Ruben story is he hasn't had a tremendous amount of snaps in his college career. He played at El Campo where he dominated high school football, came in, played as a true freshman, but was in a crowded backfield. Was ready to have a big year last year, and then obviously the injury set back the season. And so, this is really the first time you're seeing an upper-class college version of Ruben Owens playing healthy. And so I think it's everything. I think it's his ability to run the ball. I think it's his ability to pick up things in pass protection. He's obviously a really gifted player in the route game. I think he has just really been focused on becoming an elite back or a complete back, and I think he's doing that at a really high level.
And then you gave Jared Kerr a shout out pretty recently in one of your press conferences. I'm just curious what you've seen, just him embracing that role, especially on special teams, as a guy that's kind of stuck it out as a veteran player.
Yeah, he's a kid who's had a little bit of a challenging path. I was here, I recruited him here, and then obviously he had the really devastating back injury his senior year of high school, and I think that really set him back when he came into college, and he kind of battled through that. He's had different roles in different seasons, and I just think he's a kid, a tremendous character, a kid who really loves football and loves Texas A&M and has bought into doing whatever his part is to help us win. And he's a kid that we have a lot of confidence in. And, at some point, I'm sure we'll see him back there in the safety position or in the dime position, helping us win football games.
Thanks, Mike.
Next is Travis Brown of KBTX.
Hey, Mike, I know Casey Concepcion was kind of in and out last week. Just curious his status, if he's been able to kind of recover what was going on in the game.
Yeah, we'll see that kind of when the injury report comes out tonight.
All right, thanks.
Next is Anthony Catalina of the Austin American-Statesman.
Hey, Mike, potential weather in Arkansas this weekend. I just want to ask you, what's the preparation like in practice? Does anything change? And then conversely, in the games, do you adjust play calling? Is there any scheme that, you kind of adjust with the weather being a factor?
Yeah, I think it's always challenging in advance to know what schemes and what that will look like. There's a lot of different variations of weather. There's days where it's a little bit rainy and you could still run the entire playbook. There's days where there's 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts and torrential downpours, and that obviously alters what you're capable of doing. And so I think you try to have a big plan to kind of adjust and adapt to the weather. We started doing some wet ball work today. We'll continue to do that tomorrow. That just basically entails kind of squirting the water bottles on the balls before we snap them, just so that our quarterbacks and our ball handlers get used to handling wet footballs. And we've done the same thing on special teams, and hopefully that gets us ready to go.
Thanks, Mike.
Coach, will finish you up with Steve Moulton on WZZN.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well today, sir.
Thanks, Steve. I'm doing great.
Wanted to ask about Taylon Green. Progression-wise, what have you seen out of the Arkansas quarterback?
I think he's a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident in Coach Petrino's scheme this year. He's obviously an extremely talented kid. That's been the case since the day he stepped on that campus. He's got unbelievable top-end speed and ability to hurt you with his legs and his arms. And I think he's just maybe a little bit more confident, a little bit more comfortable in the throwing game this year. He's averaging over 300 yards a game passing and has truly become a very, very effective dual threat kid.
And coming off of a coach being let go of Arkansas and their performance at Tennessee, what stood out to you about Arkansas's road game at Tennessee last weekend, Coach?
Yeah, kind of what I had expected to see. I think you saw a team rally around their new head coach. I think they've got a lot of passion and respect about Coach Petrino. I'm sure it'll even ramp up a whole nother level going back to Fayetteville this weekend for the first time. And I'm sure they're a very prideful team and are wanting to prove that this season is not done and that they got a lot still to play for. And so I'm sure they're going to come out fired up and absolutely play their best game of the year on Saturday.